Hello, welcome to Final Whistle Weekly, where we answer all the philosophical questions. If a tree falls on an empty forest, does anyone hear it? If Ollie Rathbone scuffs a penalty in a meaningless shootout in an empty stadium, does anyone care? We've got the rearranged TV fixtures now, of course, all sorted out for us. So just to clarify it, because some people seem confused, Saturday's now Thursday if it's in January. If it's February, Saturday remains Saturday, except for the fourth Saturday, which becomes Sunday. In the first 15 days of 2025, 3 p.m. becomes 12:30. East is east, west is west, orange is the new black, but red is still red, except on February 29th when it's a tortoise shell umbrella. I do have a handy rhyme, but I'm not sure that we have enough time in our lives to memorize it. But what the hell? Let's go for it. Thursday and Saturday swap around. If in mid-Jan they are found, the Reading game moves marginally from 3 p.m. to 12:30. The Mansfield match is one day late, and Reading at lunchtime. You're joking, mate. You've listened this far in, so if you're not here for the Wrexham content, all I can say to you is, "Oi, shift, shift." I'm Mark Griffiths, the angriest man in sport, and I am joined by Chay Long, the man who invented Mount Rushmore, as you'll find out in a moment, and Neil Pig Fancier Williams. I don't know why I just called you that, Neil. Well, it's accurate, isn't it?
That's wrong.
Is it?
That's so wrong.
Yeah. What should I call you then?
Pig breeder.
Pig believer.
Pig fan.
What?
Do you believe everything your pigs say to you?
I said pig breeder. Buh, buh, buh.
Well, that sounds
Breeder.
worse than pig fancier. I've got to be honest.
I thought Neil said big breeder to start off with then. So
There you go.
also on the Mount Rushmore thing, I'd like us to talk about where would a Wrexham Mount Rushmore be located in Wrexham as well.
Right. So excellent. Well, Che has brought up the idea of a Mount Rushmore of Wrexham managers, the four greats who would be immortalised in stone. Where the Mount Rushmore would be. Oh, yes, we'll have to get onto that as well. That is beautiful. Well, I tell you what, we're primed for some good stuff. We're going to hear a voice from the past, Ian Moir from the 60s. We're going to talk about the Wrexham games that will be going on in the last week. This should be fun. Welcome to I know I forgot what it was called then for a second. Final Whistle Weekly. Mr. Professional, thank you very much. Now shift. Mansfield, big win on Saturday. Seemed to split opinion on social media. I was really happy with it.
Same here, Mark. I was really happy. First 10, 15 minutes we dominated and we saw the game out. We got the goal and defended that very, very well. I felt second half we could have scored a couple more and so could have them, but they could have done as well. But as a professional performance, we got the 3 points, 1-0, clean sheet, great 3 points, and we keep up with the top two.
They had a couple of penalty shouts, didn't they? Oh, sorry, Che, go on.
First on the penalty shouts, I think that one where is it Scar who puts his arm on striker's shoulder. I think VAR, Premier League, you could probably see them given. In all fairness, I've seen it was a tight call. I could see, you've seen them given in the past, but on the result as a whole, absolutely delighted because for me, Mansfield look a real quality side like they were last year. Clough is very he gets his team very well organised. They're an experienced come away with 3 points at home. Where they're in such good form. Neil, you've got to be really, really happy with it, haven't you?
I am, yeah. Totally agree. Yeah. I think that they won 4 out of 5 league games away from home coming to us. They had more of the ball than us. Yeah, there was a point in the second half where they started to make chances and they had 3 good chances. But we had good chances too. Mullen had a couple. Palmer went close of a header. Then great save from a Palmer header, and he, probably should have scored the rebound. So we had big chances to make it 2-0 before they started making opportunities. My gut feeling was that I thought that Simon Mather, the ref, I thought he was good in that he clearly set out that he was going to allow some physical contact, and he was consistent with that. And the problem for Mansfield, and I don't want to sound a bit whingy about them, I really don't intend to, but I think they were much more inclined to feel for contact and go down and ask for a foul than we were. So the way the ref handled it worked in our favour. I mean, Will Evans, for example, a very good player, but he loves winding people up. And he was constantly going to ground when he was touched and throwing a fit. But the ref had established his standards. He wasn't going to give free kicks for that. And he stuck to it. And I think maybe Mansfield should have clocked on a bit earlier and kept going, I think.
I actually appreciate that with a referee as well, where, sometimes they let things go, but then another soft challenge, another part of time of the game, they'll blow the whistle for it. He made it quite clear that he's letting the physical game go. At times, I didn't agree with a lot of the decisions that he made, in all fairness, but he made it quite clear that he's happy to see clear contact, which what you want is consistency from a referee, not sporadicness, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I don't know, Neil. Ryan Barnett, he can do no wrong, can he? Great goal. And then that interception at the end after a Conquo save, that's worth a goal as well, isn't it? Fair play to him. He's flying.
He's an inspired player, isn't he? For League One, well, since last few seasons, he's been an inspired player. He's top of the league for assists at the moment, I think, in his goals. And what I really like about him, he's willing to take on the defenders. He's not one of these who chickens out and passes it backwards. He'll take on the defender and get a ball into the box from the tightest of angles. And he's not a big lad, but I admire him greatly. He deserved that goal on Saturday, and he was outside the box when he hit that ball as well. So keeper may be a bit unsighted, but fair play to him. Now he's so far. I mean, we're only a small part of the season, and he's my player of the season so far. He's done so well.
Well, for me with Ryan Barnett, the scary thing now is if he does start adding goals like into his game now. He's been so good at whipping, put the perfect crosses in, the skill down the wing. If he can now cut inside and shoot and get goals, I think we're really going to struggle to keep hold of him, regardless of how good we are and the project is. I think top sides of the Championship to lower Premier League is certainly going to be keeping their eyes on him because he seems to have everything. And I think the previous seasons maybe for defensively he's a bit weak, but even the defensive side of his game is really starting to push on now. He's been a revelation this season. In all fairness,
I totally agree, and with that defensive point as well, I think that when he first came to us, I occasionally thought, oh, is he able to do the defensive part of the wing back job? But he's comfortably proven he can. When's the last time we've seen a left-sided player really cause us major problems? I can't recall, if I'm honest. But he does very well, doesn't he? I like if you got the most assists, does that mean you're the most helpful player? To get like a Boy Scout badge for that. That's quite a sweet idea, isn't it? I'm getting carried away again, aren't I? Yeah. I want to reassure you, Che. I don't think we need to worry too much about losing him. No doubt there's clubs looking at him. But I think, like you say, the projects that we've got is alluring. We don't have to sell anybody because we've got the money to hold on to players. He'll be getting good wages. And as well, I mean, for me, I'm thinking, okay, what sort of realistic moves likely to come in for him? Good Championship team? Absolutely believe that would be quite possible. Absolutely. Would they guarantee him a starting place? No, they tell him to fight for it. Whereas he's established himself as a permanent starter for us. I just think he'll be thinking this time next year, I could be higher up in the table and the sort of clubs are coming in for me. So I'll stick. He seems very happy. That's my optimistic view.
Totally agree, Mark. I think, that does he go to a Championship team and sit on the bench? No, that's not Ryan Barnett. He's far better off staying with Wrexham and see where this journey takes him and us as well, and enjoy the ride, as we keep saying. I mean, nobody expected to have 2 straight promotions so far, and could it be 3 this season?
Yeah.
But I'm not signing him off. I agree. I'd love for him to stay, but I just see the quality in him, and the allure of, say, Leeds United, the Blackburn Rovers. These huge English institutions. He wouldn't begrudge him for saying yes to something like that as well. And in that case, we'd probably be getting a decent sum for him. So it's a win-win for Wrexham either way. We don't want to lose our best players, but we're in a position where if we do lose them, these teams are going to have to pay good money for him as well.
What would you accept for him?
What'd you say? Sorry.
What would you accept for him?
3 million.
Oh, good lads. That's it. We're in a different world from when we just let Carden and Anthony Barry go on free transfers because they didn't want to hang around. Yeah. That's the other beauty of our position. Oh, sorry.
We wouldn't want one of the bigger teams, say, in the Championship, to turn his head, basically, and his head be, taken away from what the job he's doing at Wrexham, which we've seen, quite a few times, where, people have come in with offers of players and then, they lose their game when they're playing at Wrexham. But that would be my only concern. But I think he's in a win-win situation staying here at Wrexham.
Yeah. The team suits him perfectly. If he goes somewhere else, he has to start again. I was interested, James, about begrudging him. I wouldn't begrudge him if he chose to, but I think there are more. Thinking about back to the days 25 years ago when I taught geography, there's more pull factors and push factors to make him stay rather than go. I was rubbish at geography teaching.
Of course, I'm moving. Look historically now. Curtis Obeng, for example, moving's not always the best option for your career either.
Exactly.
You look at Obeng, conference era, probably the best right back we had. And he moved on to Swansea, and it really didn't work out for him, unfortunately. And the talent was certainly there. So, everything's working well for Ryan Barnett. As a Wrexham fan, I'd certainly encourage him to stay. But all I'm saying is the quality's there for him to play at a really high level. And let's just hope it's with Wrexham.
Absolutely. And then we saw some more interesting players at Port Vale on Tuesday night in the most pointless football match in the club's history. But no football game is pointless, he said, having experienced it. It's important for players to get minutes. It's important for the players to try and catch the manager's eye. The frustrating thing is you go into a game like that, which has virtually nothing riding on it, and then you immediately lose Will Boyle to injury. Then you lose Luke Bolton to injury. I was worried we'd lost Callum Burton to injury, but we didn't. That was a pre-planned tactical change to give them both 45 minutes. But firstly, I mean, to lose Boyle and Bolton like that is a real blow in such an important game.
I totally agree with you, Mark. But those players should have been out there to prove a point last night to say, Phil Parkinson, look what I can do, but none of them really stood out for me, to be honest. I think the most exciting part in the second half, Mark, was you shouting, "Hey, shift!"
Well, you had to get them going somehow. I think you're being cruel there. I thought, I mean, for my money.
The young lads, yes, they did very well. The young lads, yeah.
I think Bodvaz and Matty James both getting a start and getting good minutes under their belt. Matty James, they left on for the full 90, and for the last 10, he was limping. He had terrible cramp, but they couldn't bring it. They brought all the subs on, and he was fair play to him. He kept going and kept involved in it. But I felt they both showed their higher division credentials. Bodvarson's very skillful, isn't he, and quick, and strong in the air, or decent in the air at least. And then it was good to see Anthony Ford on the pitch as he's not registered. Brunt continues to look decent, I think. Farl is an entertaining mixture of the long-legged, awkward look with actually a pretty decent end product. I thought it was all right.
Fowler's one that as a player that really interests me in the future. That there's something certainly there. I think it could go either one way or the other with him. But personally, I think if we can really get the best out of him, he's still a very young player. He's very raw. Um, he could be a real handful, especially if he fills out a little bit and gains a little bit of strength as well, and a bit more, experience, the football experience. I think Wrexham fans really need to be patient with Mo Farah because we could have a real animal, playing for us in the future.
I thought that when they brought on Ben Hennigan, who's their usual central centre back, and he's a proper unit, suddenly Farrell wasn't winning those balls forwards, but he did well against Nathan Smith, and he went to 8th in the Port Vale all-time appearances list in that match. So he's got plenty of experience, and he was named man of the match as well. But Farrell, I thought, gave him plenty to think about and seemed to link quite well with Bodvarsson as well. So, and I forgot as well, Aaron James. I like the look of Aaron James, I've got to say.
Yeah, all I was saying, they didn't seem to create a lot up front, the two of them. I mean, we did miss, Mendy miscued a ball in the penalty area, which he should have got hold of and scored. But to be honest, the pair of them didn't create a lot between them. Yeah, Bodvarsson was very, very good in the air, and you can see he's a very skillful player. But I think they've still got a lot to do to work their way into the first team.
Oh yeah, Mullen and Palmer are first choice, aren't they? You say about that working in your first team, I was saying in commentary yesterday, if Aaron James was at this stage 2 years ago, he'd probably be a first team regular. He's developing really nicely, but he's got so many experienced centre backs in front. But at least you're seeing that there's some sort of way into the team. Harry Ashfield comes on and he looked good again. James is getting games in this competition at least, and Cleworth's an example to them of what the manager can do if he thinks that you got it in you. So, yeah, Aaron James, I thought, did well trying to drive forwards. He defended well against decent players.
Maybe we go to see Aaron James, low move at a National League club or a Welsh Premier League club, to really get that match experience, real competitive match experience as well, which would be beneficial. One thing I'd like to ask you two is, how do you think this Bristol Street Motors, or whatever this tournament's called these days, do you think it's now going to be quite high on the priority list of maybe try and go really deep in it? With such strong second squad we've got. Now we're out the FA Cup, we're out the League Cup. Neil, do you think we could think something really high on our priorities? Because it's a great day out. Winning a trophy is winning a trophy.
Yeah, we all know it's a trip to Wembley if we get to the final. We can remember back in 2005 when we won the LDV Vans trophies. It was known then, and it was a great day out for the fans and great celebrations. And yes, you win some money, but we're not short of a bob or two these days, thankfully. And depends what we're going to prioritise. We'd have to keep on playing our second string players if as we progress, because I think our priority will be promotion yet again, I would have thought.
Yeah, I totally agree. I suspect the first knockout game, like last time, I don't reckon that they will really push the boat out in terms of the side they pick. I think it will be similar to the side we put out this time. And then, but if we get through that, we're in the last 16 then, and it's January. We might have a better picture of how bad the fixture congestion is because of the weather in the winter. And maybe round of 16, or maybe more likely quarterfinals might be where we really start picking a strong side. I don't know, but yeah.
Then though, Mark, we not many sides in League One or League Two have the depth that we have, and other teams will be thinking the same. They'll be rotating. Some of them will have FA Cup games to think about as well. I still think we could go deep in this competition with a half strength squad. And then, like this tournament, the nature of this tournament, people start really taking it seriously come the semi-finals, quarterfinals, don't they? So another trip out of Wembley would be quite nice.
Yeah. But I don't think there'll be any risks taken to jeopardise us getting promoted.
No.
We've played what? over a quarter of the season now, and we've been consistently up in the very top of the table, which makes us one of the favourites for the competition anyway. So if we can squeeze our way through a couple of rounds with our backup team, which, as you say, Che, I would have thought would be a strong League Two team, maybe a decent League One team, I think, if you really went for it. You know, remember players yesterday who we could have picked who weren't playing against Mansfield from the start, like James Jones, who's got a slight injury, like Ollie Rathbone, for example. You know, we've got all those sorts of players that we could have put in there and didn't. Yeah, we've got a fair amount of depth and quality there, haven't we, to play around with. So yeah, I think we'll take it seriously if that side can get us through maybe one or maybe two more rounds. I reckon. That's my feeling.
Of course, yeah. That I would agree with you there, but I seriously believe in this squad. But why not get promoted and win a trophy? I think there's,
Yeah.
In my opinion, this is probably one of, if not the best Wrexham side of all time.
Yeah. It's not a bad one, is it? It's not a bad one at all, I tell you. Well, we'll take a little break now, and we'll come back and look at one of yet another long trip south for Steve Dale's women's team. Right, well, the women's team are looking superb at the moment. 5 wins in a row now, 1 goal conceded, and there were circumstances around that last Sunday at Cwmbran. Went to Cwmbran in the last 16 of the Adran Trophy, won 4-1, and we're looking very good. Sadly, we've been drawn away down in South again at Barry Town, a team where we felt really robbed about a month ago. I got to be honest, chatting on the sides of the pitch to some people, fans who come down, they were all hoping they'd get the one second-tier team that's still left in it, which is Cascade, but they are a consistently decent Adran South team. They're usually up near the top. I'd rather have Cardiff because the way we're playing at the moment, bring them on. I think we would trouble. We were unlucky not to beat Cardiff and Swansea earlier in the season. We're playing better now. I'd like that.
Yeah, and a couple of was there a new start for one of the ladies in the team as well? And she had a really good game.
Emma Burnham came on for her debut, but that was a couple of minutes from the end.
Right. Okay.
It was a little bit rotated, but not massively so. It's not the huge squad we've got with the men's team.
For the life of me, I can't remember her name, but she scored a goal or two, maybe.
Right. Abby Eddington scored. Lightfoot scored.
Lightfoot, yeah.
Yeah. Well, she's
I know she's a regular, but there was another lady there as well, and I can't remember her name. Sorry.
Liv Fuller scores in the first half, and Lily Jones scored at the end. So all established players. Although Eddington's new this summer.
That's the one, yeah.
And she's good. She's really good. Real quality about her. And, she needed a bit of time. She didn't really have much of a pre-season, so she needed a bit of time to get up to speed. But you could see when she came on as a sub in the first game that she had something. And then the second game against Cardiff, she started. And you could see she wasn't quite up to speed, but you could see there was something going on. She made a brilliant assist for Ava Suckley's goal against Cardiff. And once she's got into the stride, she's a great striker. She's so good at dropping off 30 yards out, back to goal. And I've been saying it, I hope I haven't said this on other podcasts. I've been saying a lot to people. I sort of think that the sign of a really good quality player isn't that you've got a trick or something that you can do. It's that you just keep doing it every time and it works. Every professional should be able to do some good things, but a really good player can do it consistently. And honestly, when she's got her back to goal 30 yards out, once the marker gets tight on her, she just turns her every single time. And she's a great passer as well. So Lightfoot's goal is a great example of that. Defender gets tight to Whittington, so bang, she just spins her, she's past her. And then Amber Lightfoot's making a run on the diagonal to come inside between the right side of the centre-back and the central one. So Iddington's got to hit the pass across her. It's not, and this is not a criticism of Cwmbran, but it's not the most flat pitch for playing that sort of perfectly weighted pass. He's got to play it perfect weight and right in the right spot. Otherwise, Lightfoot will be forced wide. Bang, does it. Lightfoot cuts inside, rips it in the top corner. Iddendon's a quality player. And I think I may have mentioned last week, the last 5 or 6, apart from our new goalkeeper player, although she's got very good distribution for hands and feet. But the last 5 or 6 outfield players we brought in addressed the fact that I think last season, in the first half of it, we maybe weren't quite crisp enough with our passing. We've been bringing in technical passing players. And as they all bed in, they're looking really good. And like I say, I want Cardiff now. I want Swansea now. I'm gutted we didn't have them.
So, Mark, the 4-1 scoreline is not flattering at all. I mean, that's how good Wrexham were against a Cumbrawn team who were playing in the low leagues.
I'm going to give you a conditional response to that because I don't like being simple. I mean, the bottom line is, yeah, it was a fair result. And if you really were to push me, I'd say we should have won by more. But Cumbrawn were competitive. They fought very hard, especially in midfield. The defence at the back, brilliantly called Meanie, and she was outstanding. She just winning so many balls in the box and in the goal mouth. And their keeper was outstanding as well. But what they did have was a striker up front called Jade Crofts, who was lightning fast. And so they always had a threat. And that's how they equalised. So we score almost, about third minute or something. But they equalised soon afterwards because she was so quick that if she could get a run on the centre-back, she was past them. And she was good. She was a good player as well. And so there was always that threat that they get the right service into her, even if it's just a hacked clearance. And when it was 3-1, she went close and set up a good chance that was missed, which could have made life more difficult. So on the balance of play, we were probably more than 4-1 better than them, if you see what I mean. But Crofts meant that we always had to watch our backs. They always had a goal in them, Cumbrawn, not through any fault of us, but because they had such a really good striker. I'd be surprised if one of the Southern big teams don't bring her in, frankly, looking at the quality of her performance.
So, Matt, I mentioned it earlier with the men's team, with the Bristol Street Motors Trophy, whatever it's called. Do you think, with the slightly ropey start the women's side have had this season, it's going to be a really tall task to really push for the title now? Not saying it's impossible, but it's going to be very tough with the quality of Cardiff and TNS so far this season. Do you think Wrexham really prioritise the cup this year?
A fortnight ago, I'd have said, yeah, because you want to see progression. And, we've made constant progress, haven't we, over the last 3 years? And if we're not going to win the title or challenge for it, then progress to me looks like winning a cup, which I think we're perfectly capable of doing. And you're saying about the Bristol Street Trophy, unlike the men's team, we're taking both cups seriously. We are rotating a little bit, but we're playing lower tier opposition at the moment. When we play the big teams, we'll pick the full strength team, and it's only light rotation, frankly. As for the title, I mean, yeah, okay. So we're going to have 13 games left, whichever side of the divide we land. And we're currently 7 points off Cardiff. So that's not great news. But then you look at Cardiff, played 7, won 5. Great, yeah. Drawn 1 and lost 1. They're not amazing. TNS are second, but they've dropped, they've only won 2 of the last 5. And their next game is against us. And if we keep playing like this, we're going to test them. Swansea lost 5-0 at home to TNS. And Britain Ferry have started brilliantly until they came to our place, and we absolutely dominated them. So we're 2 points off the top 4. That's the minimum that we want to achieve. But I'm now thinking, all right, we're only 5 points behind TNS. We're about to play them twice. We'll play all the teams in the second half of the season 2 more times. I agree. I'm not convinced that Cardiff are going to start throwing goals in their own nets. But they're not as strong as they looked, and neither are Swansea, I don't think. They've both dropped surprising points and had surprising losses. Cardiff, I don't know if you saw, won 1-0 at Aberystwyth, who were really struggling, through a laughable injury time penalty that was given to them. They're not. That's why I want to play them. We should have beaten them last couple of times we played them. I want to play them. I want to do it, get cracking, and then let's look at that table. You know what I mean?
I have all confidence in the women's side. As you said, it sounds like a good time to play TNS as well. After I think the cup competitions for the women this year have been really good. for a bit of a confidence boost after a bit of a shaky start, isn't it, really?
Yeah. I mean, scoring 11 goals, it was such a mismatch at Llanel's Derby. I just thought, okay, does that really mean anything? But I think it did. It's a bit like Paul Mullin scoring a penalty at Port Vale. Let's just get back on track.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, I think that it made a difference to their confidence, and we've kept going from then. We got another away cup tie on Sunday at Vellinhelly, who were second tier North team. We played them 3 times in our promotion season and put a lot of goals past them in each one. I'm not saying it's going to be a walkover. I definitely am not. But you would hope we'd be able to make it 6 wins in a row, and then we go into the TNS game and we're on an absolute roll. You'd hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good times ahead for the women's team as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited, and if we do win on Sunday, we're in the quarterfinals of both cup competitions as well. So let's see how that pans out. Right, we better change tack and build a mountain. Chay's baby, the Wrexham Mount Rushmore, is about to come to fruition. Well, Chay's just been informing us that he's lost 27 pounds in the last couple of months. I've told you to sew up that hole in your pocket. Sorry. Right now,
Oh, that's a good one.
Chay, you're more than kind. Chay, this is your idea, your baby. Bring it home. What is the Mount Rushmore of Wrexham?
So Mount Rushmore is obviously 4 really, really important, maybe the best Wrexham managers we can think of. To be honest with you, I've got a curveball in mind as well.
Oh, very good.
So
You doctor about that.
I'm really interested first to think. I think there is two. I think there's one Wrexham manager I think we all will probably agree with.
Brian Little, carry on.
First on the list, Sam Ricketts. No, the first for me, I'll kick it off. The first person I think should be on it is Phil Parkinson.
Mm-hmm.
Would you both agree? Should be the first one on the list. Back-to-back promotions, FA Trophy final, missed out on the playoffs. Every signing, bang on. For me, Phil Parkinson's the first no-brainer, in my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree. Although we may have to change our minds, obviously, when we talk about other people, but he's definitely, I think, strongly penciled in. I mean, not strongly Pennsylvania'd, of course, because we're going to have as well. Actually, there's a bidding war at the moment between North and South Dakota. They want to host our new Rushmore. But I mean, he's got the best stats of any Wrexham manager, however way you cut it, win percentage, loss percentage, everything like that. The only manager to have got promoted twice with Wrexham, and obviously the only manager to have done back-to-back promotions of Wrexham. So he feels like a no-brainer. And if anybody wants to turn around and say, yeah, but he's also had the more money than any Wrexham manager's ever had, I will happily concede that point. But plenty of managers have moved to clubs and been given lots of money and wasted it. And Parkinson's excellent record in the transfer market and his ability to keep a big squad of quality players happy is a massive factor in his success. So, Jay, I'm backing you up on that one. Yeah, we got him penciled in. Neil, do you want to throw a name into the hat?
You nailed it on the head there, Mark. He's actually keeping a big squad of players happy, and he's recruited very well, and he's recruited the right players with the right personalities to come into the club, and it all seems very harmonious. So, yeah, he's on my list as well as to be on Mount Rushmore or Mount Minera or wherever we're going to call it.
Mount Minera, yes,
I like that.
Yeah.
I'll be up there 3:00 tonight with my
Building it.
just doing the little stencils. If Banksy can get away with it, I can. Do you want to nominate somebody, Neil?
Yeah, my nomination would have been Dennis Smith.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Another fantastic manager with very limited budgets. Took us to the final of the LDV Vans Trophy, and obviously we came back and we won the trophy. But he was at the club through our most difficult times that we've ever seen as Wrexham fans, and he was so. He did it with dignity. He was very good, and he kept the team going. And he was a nice all-round bloke as well. But just for the purpose that he actually managed us through that very, very difficult time that we went through, and that's why he's on my list.
I mean, certainly he was patient with the problems we had off the pitch, wasn't he? And he still managed to bring good players in as a consequence. And he had the smarts after we got relegated to realise that maybe the best way to get out of the fourth division was to go at teams, picking the two Edwardses as wing backs, and really they were wingers and attacking. And of course, Andy Morell, Lee Trundle. He scored a lot of goals that season. Hector Sam, Lee Jones as well. It was a brilliant team to watch, and I think it was deliberately tactically attacking because he recognised that we had enough quality to sweep teams away. What's your thoughts, Chay?
Yeah, for me, he would have been the next nomination for myself. I think I've got a bit of bias. The first manager I watched as a young Wrexham fan. But for me, I think his whole attitude about the club, listening to interviews and talking about Wrexham, he's like the last for dying breed of old school managers who would properly manage the whole club and would care about the whole club rather than just the first team staff, the first team players. And yeah, it was really tough times off the pitch, and he achieved success. Should never have been sacked. So I think that whole Boston season, as we remember it, I think we probably would have been lower mid-table if he was. I know it's all speculation with the stayed in charge, and he might have steadied the ship and got it right eventually. Because look at that squad from that season; it wasn't a bad side at all. But for me, yeah, a true legend of the club. So yeah, Matt, do you have any nominations?
Well, can I just say with that Dennis Smith as well, he won the LDV Vans Trophy, which is the first trophy we've ever won, which wasn't run by the Welsh FA. So the first English and Wales trophy. So that's a real achievement in Wrexham's history. But I didn't have him in my top four. I did have Andy Morell in there. I mean, until Parkinson came along, I'm disregarding Ricketts because he did have some good stats, but he didn't have that many games in charge. But until Parkinson came along and dominated the records, it was Morell who had the records. And I know some people have said, well, he inherited a strong team from Dean Saunders. Yeah, okay. But he was sensible enough to handle that team well and to get them through where they win the FA Trophy or get 98 points in a season. I think he should have been. I don't feel personally he should have been sacked when he was, because he acknowledged that with the budget getting lower, he'd maybe not made the right choices with some of his transfers, and I think he'd earned the right to go again. But like Dennis Smith, he was absolutely fundamental. I mean, in keeping the club going. So Saunders walked out because he wanted Jeff Moss in charge rather than the fans. Morell, there were times when the money was really tight where that he could have cause problems, but he's an intelligent enough guy to know that the club comes first. Me asking for more and more money is not the right way to go about it. So for me, I'd have Morell in the top four. Thoughts?
I 100% agree that he was a fantastic manager for us. Did an amazing job, FA Trophy win, 98-point season, playoff final as well, the season after the FA Cup third round, and was also a really good player as he was a manager for us. Brilliant. The only reason why I wouldn't put him ahead of Dennis Smith is that he didn't get us promoted. And that is quite brutal, don't get me wrong, but they're both in similar circumstances in a way. Andy Morell probably both inherited good squads, and they both good teams. But for me, the only thing that separates them is that Andy Morell didn't unfortunately get us promoted. So I would have to edge Dennis Smith if we were going to have to pick out of them two. We could have them both still.
Yeah, and I would point out, if we're going to compare promotion seasons, that Dennis Smith came third and got promoted. Andy Morrell came second, but had the misfortune to be in a league that only had one team going up.
True, but that was League Two as well, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Higher league.
Fair point. Neil, what do you think?
To be honest, Andy Morrell didn't even enter my mind, Mark, when I was looking at who was I thinking of the top four. I put Dennis. I didn't look into it deep enough, is what I did. Because Dennis Smith instantly came to mind. 2005 when the LW Lions Trophy, and that really stuck to me. But Andy Morrell, I do apologise, didn't cross my mind, and I wonder whether he's giving you a 5 or a 10 mark to nominate him.
Oh, well, if you care to look at the big spreadsheet I sent of all the stats on the managers to you guys, you'll see just how deserving Morrell is. He's got a fantastic record. Only Parkinson better, really.
Yeah, no, I didn't cross my mind, Mark.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was thinking of today, nowadays, and then past history. I looked too far back.
Yeah. Well, I'm keeping score, and we'll thrash it all out at the end. This is fun. Jay, you're a genius. Another name.
I think we should have a voting system.
Oh, I've got
Can we not have a voting system and ask people to vote for it?
Oh, we could, couldn't we? We're going to have our conversation. This is going to be like Eurovision. Firstly, all the experts give their marks, and then it's opened up to the mob, and they'll all pick.
That actually sounds really good. Good idea.
Whoever's the most right wing.
Well, we know just the 4 or 5 people we have, and let the public decide.
Okay, then. Well, can I throw Brian Flynn into the mix and see what you guys say?
He's on my list too, Mark.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. I'd gone through the back, and he was on my list. None of us of our age will forget the FA Cup game against Arsenal, and another great manager for the club and a player for the club. I remember as a player when I first started watching Wrexham, and he was with the club as a manager for many, many years.
It certainly was, wasn't he? Incredibly long-lived, longest-serving Wrexham manager by some distance. Got us promoted in '93. The cup upsets, like you said, he took the team somewhere different from where he inherited it by maximising youth. He took advantage deliberately of no relegation 2 seasons before we got promoted to blood all these players who are now legends like Hardy, Connolly, Owen, Watkin, got them all minutes. He spent wisely on players like Andy Marriott, Peter Ward. Yeah. Fantastic. What are you thinking, Jay?
See, now it gets a little bit harder for me in this regard, as I didn't watch these sides too young. But for me, Brian Flynn's record speaks for itself. The FA Cup wins, the promotion, the whole longevity that he had as a career, and as you said, the players that he produced and brought in, he has to be on there, doesn't he? I'm more.
Well, he's one of your 4 as well, yeah?
Yeah.
He isn't one of mine.
What, Brian Flynn's not?
No.
No.
You got to wait and see who I picked.
I've got a curveball here.
Go on, Jake. Go on.
Steve Dale.
Say again.
Steve Dale, Wrexham women's manager.
Oh, you clever man. Oh, God. Oh, I'm so sexist. Oh, yes.
No. The reason why I've picked him, he achieved promotion, obviously, with that horrible playoff game that they had to play as well. And the impressive thing about the women's side as well is these were amateur players. I know they are semi-pro now from local areas, so they're all local women. It feels very Wrexham. It's a very unique experience watching the women's side, and it's a lot harder to buy and produce players because they're not playing in the system. So for him to produce what he did last year, the success after getting promoted, to get us promoted as well, and what he's doing right now with a bunch of local girls, I think he has to be on there, or at least has to be on the conversation.
That is a superb call. And I think as well, it's worth remembering, I've said this a few times, but Robin Ryan's money doesn't really help Steve Dale in terms of bringing in players. We're not able to go and buy some players from the WSL. It's not realistic, but it does allow him to invest in the infrastructure and create better preparation. But that team has improved through some smart signings from a very small transfer pool and excellent coaching. And Steve Dale is a genuinely technical coach. He sets up really clear game plans for each match to counteract opponents. He's really, really good at to preparing a team for what they're going to face. And in the past, when we've not, I don't think, been within touching distance of Cardiff, we still, even when we end up losing quite heavily to them, tended to ruffle their feathers for the first half hour because we'd all set up totally differently every time, and we just mixed them up a little things that we were doing. One of my favourite memories of watching the women's team is actually one of the most frustrating games I've ever watched, when we lost the Welsh Cup final last season to Cardiff, despite dominating them completely. And again, he set us up in a surprising way at the start of the match. And you could see Cardiff couldn't work it out. They prepared for how we normally play. We did something different. And they were all over the place. Sadly, they took a chance. We took none of ours. And then at the end of the first half, this great moment of their bench stayed on the pitch, like bewildered, looking at a laptop because they were trying to work out what we had done. By half time, they still hadn't worked it out. And so clearly they went in then and they regrouped and they set their team up to counteract what we were doing. And we did something different. And we did it to them again in the second half. That's management. That was magnificent. That is a wonderful call. He's not on my 4 because I was too stupid to think. I'm going to have to.
He's in my 5.
Nice.
Yeah, I had him on there as well.
I think, Mark, as well, but yeah, the quality of the Welsh Women's League, it's in development, isn't it? Let's be fair. And, with Wrexham being in the league now, it's only going to make things stronger. It'd be nice to see Newport in the future, or other big Welsh sides like Bangor and Rail really invest as well in the future. But what it's doing for the local community, I work in a school. A lot more girls are playing football now. They're really inspiring a young generation of girls who are going to watch the women's side, and it's achievable to play for Wrexham at this level. And it's something they can really aspire to, and it's only going to push these women, Steve Dale, Gemma Owen, and everyone who's involved in the women's setup. It's only going to push women's football in Wales to a higher level, and I think yes, we have great managers in the men's team. Yes, Steve Dale hasn't won the league or a cup yet with the women's side, but I just think what it's doing for the town and for women's football in the area, I think he has to be on it, basically.
His achievement in such a short period of time is phenomenal. That's what I thought, Chay. And Mark, you said last week that the last home game, there were over 600 people watching the game.
Yeah.
Which is phenomenal, which is more than most of the Adrian Premiership in the men's game, So what he's doing for as Chay said, for the Wrexham community, the young girls out there, is just phenomenal.
Oh, 100%. It's a great call. It's a great call. And he's taken the club somewhere they've never been before, the top level of Welsh football. So let's consider then another person who took Wrexham where it's never been before. Arfon Griffiths got us into the second tier. Anybody going to go for him? I am.
Nope. Yeah.
For
Another good manager and another local chap, a Welsh chap. So, he was a great player as well, Mark. But I put John Neal over him. So,
right. Oh, well, maybe that's an interesting call, isn't it? John Neal and Arfon Griffiths are the sort of Bill Shankly and Bob Paisley of Wrexham, aren't they? Neal sets the foundations and achieves superb things. Quarterfinals of the FA Cup, quarterfinals of the Cup Winners' Cup. No, not League Cup. He got to the FA Cup quarterfinals 74. He gets the European Cup Winners' Cup quarterfinals 76. Gets us promoted in 70. So he's got a terrific record. Then Arfon Griffiths, in his first season, wins the third division. First time he gone up to the second tier. Gets the quarterfinals of the FA Cup, quarterfinals of the League Cup, and wins the Welsh Cup, which John Neal did win the Welsh Cup as well, beg your pardon. But that's interesting, the sort of master and the apprentice, but the apprentice getting more trophies, like Paisley against Shankly, who set the foundations at Liverpool. Which way do we go on that? Or do we put them both in? Because I'll be honest with you, I did.
I thought you might have done, yeah. They're about the start of the year that we started watching Wrexham Football Club, Mark, aren't they?
Yeah.
Both of them, yeah.
All right, you, Chay.
Obviously,
before your time, Chay.
Obviously, way before my time. But you hear the great stories of the '70s sides. But for me, as a kid growing up, listening to people who took me to the games, people talked more about Arvin Griffiths. So Arvin Griffiths was in mine, and not John Neal, even though obviously well respected, built the foundations for what Arvin Griffiths carried on with. But for me, Arvin was in mine. So
right,
yeah, it's a lot tougher than I thought it would be. This actually,
it's good, isn't it? It's good.
Yeah.
I want to throw a couple more names in. Oh, first I should say, by the way, that although Bill couldn't be with us, he did send me his nominations. And so his nominations were Flynn, Arvon, Neal, and Parkinson. So I'll add them to the pile as well. Oh, I think I've confused myself now, so we may have to do a recap at the end so I can recount. A couple more names from earlier on that I'd like to mention because of their records. Well, Ken Barnes was our player manager, significant player for Aston Villa and Man City. A lot of people said he was the best wing half never to play for England, and he got us promoted. So the first time we got up, from third division south or fourth division level, getting up, and a good player for us as well. I think he deserves to be mentioned, but neither he and Ernie Blackburn, who had a good record earlier than Barnes, I don't think we can really go for them. Or Cliff Lloyd, who was the secretary of the club and was managing 3 different spells and a really reliable person. I mean, we can't really go for them, can we, in all honesty, because we don't have enough knowledge of them. But I think I feel like I want to mention them, at least. So,
it's a part of our history.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so can we just recap? Chay, I think you said Parkinson, Dennis Smith, Steve Dale, and Arvon Griffiths. Is that right? Okay. Neal, what you said Parkinson as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I said Parkinson. Brian Flynn.
Yeah.
Dennis Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm with John Neal, but Steve Dale I thought about as well. But
right, so Bill, like I said, went for Arvon Griffiths, John Neal, Phil Parkinson, and Brian Flynn, and I went for Parkinson. I've got written down in front of me, and I can't remember. Andy Morrell, John Neal, and Arvon Griffiths. So if we are to, for our part of the conversation, well, Parkinson's got 4 votes out of 4. He's in. Arvon Griffiths and John Neal have got 3 votes out of 4. They're in. So we've got the 2 people on 2 votes are Dennis Smith and Brian Flynn. Who do we put in then? That's a tough one, isn't it?
Very tough.
It's tough for you two because you nominated them both, and it's tough for me because I didn't put either of them in.
I've got to go Smith. I've got to go Smith because it was the first Wrexham side I watched. You're always going to have love for that, aren't you? So, I didn't watch any of Flynn's sides. Well, so for me, it's got to be Smith.
Neal?
So I'd have gone the other way. I'd have gone for Flynn because of his longevity of his service to the club and what he achieved at the club. But I'm also happy to go with Dennis Smith because he was a great manager for the club in very difficult times, and took us to our first, as you say, all UK league cup final and winning it.
It's a tough call, and it seems I'm going to have to make it. I'm by the narrowest of margins, I'm thinking Flynn. I'm sorry, Dennis.
That's fair enough.
I love
That's
you,
fair
Ken.
enough.
He achieved a lot and he built something. Smith did as well, to be fair. And Smith should have been given longer. Like you said, I don't think we'd have gone down under him. But yeah, I think I'll just about go Brian Flynn, although it's a tight call. All right, so the judges are picking Phil Parkinson, Brian Flynn, Arvon Griffiths, and John Neal on our Mount Rushmore. But now it's over to you, the viewers. Who will you vote for? Oh my gosh. We'll put a poll up and we'll announce the results next week. Unless, of course, I stupidly make the poll public and don't realize it, and then everyone sees the results anyway and just for the walk away. I'll work out some complex algorithm to mix our opinion with yours, which will probably be 50-50.
So are you going to add the player? Are you going to add the managers that we didn't include in our 4 then, Mark?
Yeah. I'll
Yeah,
all
okay.
the ones that we discussed definitely.
Yeah.
And then I'll put a nice range out of options.
Okay.
Excellent. All right. Let's delve further into the past then. Sadly, he's no longer with us, but a while ago, I had a lovely chat with Ian Moir, one of the great entertaining wingers of Wrexham's history, and he had some tales to tell. So here they are.
You played Welsh Cup final against Cardiff, I think.
I did, we did. We lost. That's right. You're right, Mark. I always remember it was two-legged. Is it still two-legged now? Is it just
no, it's one.
Yeah, it was two-legged. I think we drew home. And we got beat down there. I don't know. Was it 2-0 or 2-1?
It was 1-0 and 3-0, I think.
Yeah. I know we at that time Mel Sutton was playing for Cardiff, and it was. I always remember the pitch was wet, and he was just he walked along the mud, like Mel. He just kept going. Where's this fella? I used to say you got 3 lungs to Mel because his energy level was up and down. So I think they rated him after that game. I think that's why I remembered anyway, Mel. Yeah, Cardiff. I nearly went to Cardiff actually. Cardiff was at Blackpool, and at that time Jimmy Sculler was the manager. When I was at Blackpool, and Stan Mortison was a Blackpool manager, and they were sort of after signing me, and I nearly went there. Like at the time, Cardiff was in. I think Toshak was playing, and actually they were a good run in Europe. At that time, they were they were in the second division, as we say, the old second division then, weren't they? A good side, Cardiff City then. Because it's a big place, isn't it? Potential is there, isn't it, really? It's, of course, it's money again, isn't it? It doesn't make success, but you need a lot of money now to attract people to come there, isn't it?
And because he's thinking about his cup runs as well. I mean, you had the year when you played that against Man United and Liverpool.
Oh, right, that's right, yeah. Yeah, I can't remember what year it was, but I do. It was in the League Cup, I think it was a League Cup against United. And Steve Ingle, I do remember, it's funny how you know it. And actually the left back was Tony Dunn. Now Tony was a mate of mine, we used to go in the same room when we was at United. So when you were playing against somebody, it's never ever Now I always thought I was quite quick, you see, but I knew that Tony was quick, because we used to run the 100 yards, which is 100 yards in training, because we're both quick. So it was an anticlimax when he was playing. So at the point this ball came through, I think the first couple of minutes, over the top, and Steve was on his own, just a goal at a beat, and he had a very good chance at it. I know it's in big end, but if he put it in there, we had a good chance of beating him, because they didn't actually play well that night. But the thing that really sticks out in my mind was Mickey Evans was there to mark Georgie Best right at the time, and he actually did. He marked up for 99% of the game, and I know George scored a day, but he played him well, really, really well. But I can't remember the score. It was 2-0, wasn't it? 2-0, that's right. But they were there to be beat at that time. They weren't really playing. And Liverpool, well, that was the worst thing we ever did, score first. We went 1-0 half time and then we got beat 3-1. Yeah, I do remember. But there was a big gates. And to be honest, I think they were all Wrexham supporters. Only half of them. There was coach loads. It was coming. But yeah, it was. I remember them too. They were there. And I think was it the year we got promotion? I'm not very sure. I think we just got promotion. Because Chesterfield, I think, won the league, and we were runners up. And I mean, talking about Chesterfield, I don't know if I'm the only one in history that's ever been shot. I was actually shot at a game. This is It's we were playing Chesterfield, an evening game, and I think it was just before half time. And there was sort of on the byline, and as you know, at Chesterfield's ground, the pitch is very close to the crowd. And next minute, I had a right in my back, and it stung, stinging. I thought, what's that? Anyway, come off at half time, and someone said, "Hey, there's a big hole in your back of your shirt." So I took my shirt off, and there was a lead thing stuck in. It was a pellet. Somebody said it was the way you're playing it. That was our supporters that shot me. I said, no, you weren't playing very well. But I remember that. Yeah, I don't have no load to be shot like
Goodness me.
So never play a bad game. But I did. We always used to do quite well at Chesterfield. And they used to do quite well at our place, There's always been that between us. At that time, things have changed now. But, some really fantastic club, Wrexham. As I say, I played for a few clubs and I've enjoyed every minute of it. But Wrexham was, in fact, it was a joy to come to Wrexham. Because, you wake up in the morning, you're going to work. If you enjoy your job like you do yourself, you say teaching, you enjoy going to work, isn't it? The only snag with me is I used to forget sometimes I was down here to play football because it was so enjoyable. I'm not just saying, and it was great, meeting the lads and the training was good. But I sometimes forgot, as I say, it was how to play football. They had to keep reminding me, and reminding me to get rid of the ball, because they say, why don't you try and beat, just 1 or 2, not 4 or 5? I said, well, I don't plan to beat 1 or 4 or 5. I beat 1 or 2, and then somebody else comes. That was my excuse anyway. But wonderful club.
I think other players. I mean, I don't. Well, gosh, the name I keep thinking about is from like around that time. It sounds strange. The PE teacher's telling you about who took the lad, and got him to take rugby.
Right.
I say to him, because he's been following Wrexham for a long time, and I say, I go to interviews him, I say, and I said to myself, I'm going to the interviews tonight. And he said that his 2 favourite players, he said Easter's, tell him I used to serve his pre-match dinner for him in the hand.
What the hand, that's right. He used to go there before the game, that's right.
Well, he was a student working there, he used to serve the dinners to you. And he said that the 2 favourite players of his were yourself and Albert Kinsey.
Albert.
And so he's telling me about Albert, isn't he?
Albert, wow, gee, well, that was great. As I say, we used to go there in the home games to Llangollen. You had sort of a pre-match meal. It wasn't much. You couldn't eat much, and it kept the lads together and have a team talk. And but Albert lived in he's a Liverpool lad, as you know, Albert, and he used to pick me up from Runcorn, pick me up at Chester. In his car, my car's broken down. He'd go the Huntington way, that way to Wrexham that way. And he liked to do his home brew, Albert, do home brewing, his beer. So what he'd do, he'd brew his home brew on a Friday, and he'd get a Monday drinking. I said, you're not drinking a home brew on Monday? Oh, I couldn't wait, he used to say. So one day, he picked me up, and I sat in front of the car, and it felt a bit wet on my legs, I said, Albert, is your window letting in? He says, oh no, he says, I've been to the market. I said, a frozen chicken. He said, it's just thawed out. he didn't, Albert didn't care at all. I'd all blood, actually it was all blood, it was all my trousers, off the chicken. He's an Australian, Albert, I believe, yeah. So somebody was saying, hi, Albert. But he'd be in Alice Springs, I suppose. He'd be opening his own brewery, home brew. He scored some goals, same lad, didn't he, Albert? think he was a top goal scorer at one time for a season, 27 goals, I think, Albert, if I remember.
I was looking at the promotion season. I think that must have been, I think it was 27,
Yeah, it would have
like
been,
40 odd
yeah.
games.
Yeah, was
And
that
they all
so?
seem to come in the last 6 weeks. I was looking down the...
Was it?
Well, some awful, wasn't it? They're sort of running to promotion.
Did it?
Every game there seemed to be Kinsey 2, Kinsey 2.
Yeah,
I was like, wow.
yeah. But he did more
Bit of
games.
form,
Yeah, that's right. I think the reason Albert ended up in, was in Australia, was his father worked in Liverpool for a tyre company, and they were made redundant. And he went to Australia, his dad and his sister. So Albert always had in his mind when he finished playing football that he would go.
Yeah.
If his family hadn't gone there, he went. So, but I believe he's still there. Yeah. I don't think he went out to play football there. I think he ended just going there. Because I think he went to Crewe from Wrexham, Albert. I'm not sure. I think he did just for a short period. Jimmy Millier was a manager, I think, then.
Because he'd have played for Liverpool against.
That's right, that's right. You're quite right. Of course, I think Arvin took over as a Crewe manager. And I think he did quite well there, Arvin. Because in football, you don't move far. Once you're getting past the age, you don't want to move too far if somebody's after you move house and things like that. But, some great players, and and the Big Eddie, Big Eddie. He's a good lad, Eddie. Because he was telling me once, Eddie, because he he's very tall and slim, really, Eddie, for a. And he said, I didn't used to be this. He used to do a bit of boxing, and I think he represented London boys. And he said, I was giving him the alley shuffle, he said, when I was little. And this was in the final in London, I was giving the alley shuffle, and this fella was half my side and smacked me one and knocked me out. He said, I was giving, but he did a bit of boxing, really. But he's telling me when he used to be very small when he was a lad, believe it or not. And his father worked as a meat market porter in Smithfield's Market, I suppose. That's where the meat is, isn't it? And he lived in Dagenham. And they used to go through in a train, and the blokes used to hang him up in one of these meat hoops, Eddie. And the lad used to tell us, he said, he says, he was very small. You wouldn't think it. He was 6 feet out at all. But he used to motivate you before you went out there. And it was funny, when you play football, it's one thing you do, you'd all different accents, because they're all from London, wasn't they, and Yorkshire and Liverpool. And of course, Dave Gaskell, he was absolutely brilliant, really, as a goalkeeper, because I played with David when he was at United, but he used to sort the centre forwards off. All the hard men at centre forwards in the old days, when he used to sort them out, Dave. He certainly did. Excellent.
Wasn't all that big, was he, for a goalkeeper?
Yeah, but he wasn't exceptionally tall. He was 6 foot. David, he was, but he wasn't like 6'5" like that. Very agile, very good. Because he played for United when he was 15. Dave, in a charity game it was. But he liked rugby, Dave. You see, he liked rugby as well. Smashing lad.
There's quite a few players who seemed around the 60s times to come from United as well, to Wrexham.
Yeah. Well, Albert was the other one. Albert had one game for United, and it's funny, it was against Chester, I believe, because I just moved to Blackpool that year, and I think United won 2-1 against Chester at Old Trafford. And the guy, no, I'm all right, love. Thank you. And he scored the goal, Albert. They never played him again.
Got a perfect record.
That's it. He scored the goal, they never played him again. So, put it on. Yeah. I think, actually, my first game to United, there was one or two Wrexham lads. I wasn't to know this later on, but Reg Hunter was near Wrexham, and Peter Jones, wasn't he? Yeah. And Sammy, as as a mate of mine, we were mates as young lads, and then he moved around to Wrexham. In fact, I was talking to him the other week, Christmas, because his wife and my wife, they all came from Stratford, so we married girls that live right there.
I didn't know you knew him because I'm interviewing him,
Sammy.
but I was looking at the books and he
left
the time at UK just before, so
Sammy.
So he's a character. He
Yeah,
was just telling
Sammy.
some tales. He was the one who was drunk while playing.
We know Sammy. Hey, I could tell you a few. Sammy, this is I was and nothing to do with Wrexham at the time. It's a bit talking about Sammy, obviously Wrexham. Well, I was about 16 and he was about 17. And I was to go for a haircut in Manchester at Lewis's, and they were going to take me. And I remember, I was very raw. Everything the people said to me, I believed. So it was him and Phil Chisnell. Phil went to Liverpool, as you know, from United. Phil Chisnell later on. Anyway, they took me to Lewis's, and they said, before we go to Lynn for a haircut, we'll go for a pint. No, I'd never had a pint. He says, come on, you're a Scotsman and all this. I'll take you. And it was a Shakespeare pub, I always remember, next to Lewis's in Manchester. So they took me in. Said, what are you having? We're having a black and tan, they said. I never knew what a black and tan was, I never had. I'm having one of them and all. Anyway, I only had one, and I could hardly stand up. And they says, come on, we're taking for your haircut now. So we're going to Lewis's. And they were all, most of the hairdressers there, were all ex-Polish servicemen. They must have gotten jobs there, And they must have seen a right idiot coming in. So I sat down to have my haircut. And at that time, I wanted a Perry Como. Anyway, this guy couldn't understand me, and I couldn't understand him. So he kept cutting me hair. So I turned around, I was turning around to Sammy McMillan, Phil, and he says, yeah, take some more off. I was telling this guy to cut my hair. Anyway, so seeing this day of it, I mean, I've been all right today, because the other hair, but then it was nothing there. It was like a criminal. And I had to go up to my landlady, but that's because I had a drink, one pint. So that's what I remember Sammy take me for a haircut. If you ever see him again, he'll tell you about my haircut. Oh, you had to buy a hat. They say you better buy a hat. One of these hats. These hats with a feather in. So buy one of them hats with a hat. A Robin Hood hat or something. Yeah.
He was telling me when he signed for Wrexham, he didn't know where Wrexham was. And he got picked up on the day of the first match by Ken Barnes, who was managing there. And he still hadn't been to Wrexham. Right. And Ken Barnes took him to the Winstay, and the match was kicking off at 3:15. And he took him there about 1 o'clock and said, "Oh, have a whiskey." And Sammy said, "We've got a game, haven't we? We'll go on, have one." And so he bought him one, and afterward he was another. No, and so Ken Barnes was playing manager. And he was there until about 2:45. And he was thinking, is there really a game on today or not? And he said, "Oh, come on, let's go to the match." And he drove up there. And the first time he'd been to the ground, he walked to the dressing room for the first time, packed full of players. And he said, Ken Barnes just walked in and read 11 names out, and that's right, right, the rest of you, get out. Yeah. And that was the team.
That's a team. Yeah, that was his team.
Never met any of them. It was just like, okay, let's go.
Yeah, that was his introduction to Wrexham, was it?
Yeah.
Oh.
But he said that Ken Barnes would get involved in arguments with the crowd when they barrack him. And Sammy said he had the ball on the halfway line. And Ken Barnes was outside him, and he you see him running to the box, and he hit it to Ken Barnes, and he said, "Look it back in the box, look it back." Ran to the box, didn't come, he turned round. And Ken Barnes, somebody must have had to go at him from the ground, and Ken Barnes had turned down, hit his foot on the little wall.
Oh yes, that's right, yeah. That's right,
level with the pitch. I pick the team, don't you tell me what to do, let the ball go out for a throw, so we could have a go at some bloke, rather than put someone through on goal.
Yeah. That was more important to him, yeah. It's funny, I'd seen Ken Barnes playing for Manchester City when I first came in. He was getting older then, and he scored a hat-trick, penalties. I can't remember, I was there at that game, it was at night, and Bobby Johnson was playing. I always remember that Ken Barnes.
I've heard about that, yeah.
Yeah, he did. But, they reckon at one stage they all used to say he was one of the best uncapped players. Yeah. Never, you get that, but on his head, he was a very good Ken. Yeah, managers are as big as characters in the players. Yeah, I tell you, I mean, I suppose anything went in them days, isn't it? Because when I first came down, I mean. My first team talk was not so much Wrexham. When they did get to United, did 5 teams, see, and they say we can't go down the pitch yet. Says at the cliff. He says, well, they're waiting for Joe Royle, his name was, to come and say he works for the gas board, and he's supposed to be a trainer and coach. So we're all waiting to change. And he comes running in. He must have been late, and you could smell the gas on him. I actually smelled the gas on him, honestly. And he had a big leather bag, and it was full of pennies. It'd been, collected like this. So he says, right, lads. He says, remember the 2 P's. If you're not in position, be in possession. Out and play, and that was it. That was his team talk. So he used to run on with the sponge as well, and he used to run on. So when he ran on with the sponge, he kept dropping some of the pennies. And on his way back, he was out to pick up the pennies. So every time he was going, he was dropping pennies. He was going, when you think it was in charge. And this guy broke his nose. And you could tell his nose all over his face. And he got a sponge and he was rubbing it, and the lad was in agony. He just, I was the people in charge. Yeah.
I got the impression, I think with John Neal being a manager as well. I mean, he comes over as quite sort of softly spoken, as like that, and cajoler was he?
Yeah. John liked you to express yourself on the pitch, because that was the era he was brought up at Sunderland. I think the Shackletons and all that. He liked that himself. And if your manager liked that, he encouraged it with you. I mean, he didn't encourage you to overdo it at all. And in a nice way, you know, like the Matt Busby's. See, it was Matt Busby and Jimmy Murphy. Jimmy gave you the rollickins and the real team talk. John had a nice way of doing it. Coach was interesting, but George would put you right. You know what I mean? He went out there and give you what John maybe wouldn't do. He'd give out there and tell you, you know, get stuck in it. That's putting it mildly. You know what I mean? I mean, he had I think he actually, George had a lot to do with bringing Joey Jones on himself. Encouraging him, not just to kick, because Joey was in Joey could play football, you know. So he encouraged, two different, you need it, you see, you need two the same. You think that you made a training interesting, John. It was everything. I've never seen him in a bad mood. He must have been sometimes. I've never ever seen him in a bad mood. But he must have. I think John took everything inside, and he had a nice way. And it's very hard. You can't please everybody, can you? As you know, being yourself being a teacher, you've sat and got to tell people you've been dropped. I mean, that must be a hard thing to tell people. You know, how do you tell people you're dropped? You do it in a diplomatic way, and he did it. Some managers are just come in straight away, you're hopeless, and out. Very tactful. He was tactful. He was John, and he always tried to make interest every day. So as I was saying back to what I was saying, it was a pleasure to come in because excellent. But Jimmy Murphy, you know, he like Matt Busby was like John. You play your own game, son. That's all he's saying, Matt Busby, and he didn't really know tactics. I don't think he did, but Jimmy didn't mess around. And he was managing the Welsh team at the time, right? So I was like in a youth team, so you're a mixture of nationalities. And he gave the team talk. And I used to say right before you go out, he says, I want you to beat these English, you know. And the lads would say, hey, I'm English. Oh, yes, sorry, man. He was giving us a Welsh team talk, you know. So I forgot where it was, but if you wanted a rise, he used to tell you, Jimmy Murphy, put you straight. You've got to play better before you get a rise. You know, complete opposites, but you need them both to be like that. They complement each other. But they made it interesting. They did, George and John. They did. It was great. And of course, Ali was there as well. Ali McGowan. Now, Ali was all right, the grindsman, but he was more than a grindsman. You know, you say, he was a grindsman. He was more than a grindsman because Ali sometimes used to take a little bit of coaching and all when he was short and things like that. And it's a nice character to have around, isn't it? And somebody's played football. If he said anything, you knew that he was talking sense because he'd played. You know, you'd listen to him. And then you're John Edwards as well. Remember John? He was a goalkeeper, John, and he was smashing.
He's a groundsman now.
Yeah, he is, so I believe.
I didn't realise he was a player. I didn't realise at all.
Well, I know he was a goalkeeper, wasn't he, John? Because he was there before me, and somebody was there, John was a goalkeeper, and a lot of people told me that, but I didn't know that at the time. When, in Gwilym in the office. And of course, I think my Lloyd was... Cliff Lloyd was the secretary at the time, and then it went to what's his name?
Norman Wilson.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, Norman took over, and it went back to Tranmere after a while. I think Norman. And Madge. Brilliant. If it wasn't for Madge, I was always skint. Always skint. In the week, I used to see Mickey Evans because he was all right for a land of £5, mate. You know, £5 was a lot of money then. You know. I say, hey, Mickey, you lend us a £5. Aye, sure, I'll pay you next week. So next week come, and I give him his £5. As soon as I ran the car, I said, mate, can I borrow that £5 again? So I kept borrowing the same £5. So I went to see Marge. I said, listen, we'll get your money right, I'll sort out your money and make sure that, you do everything the right way, So it's like a family club. They really try to look after you. They didn't just let you go away. If I'd been nosy, they were very, it was great. And Mark looked after the tea, Mrs. Evans.
Oh yeah,
She died a few years ago now. She used to see the tea. She was, I think she was in the late 90s when she was late 90s. She was a lovely person, she was. I mean, she must have known everybody,
The lady who did the kids died about a month or so ago. Who's actually she'd been there for a very long time because her daughter does it now.
Right, well, that was the same as same then. Well, this is the same as when I was. It was she died, and her daughter carried on doing it. So wouldn't it be the same?
So when her daughters must be. Well, I mean, I don't be rude, but to look at it, must be in the 50s, 60s at least.
Yes.
So
I know what you're saying.
See her occasionally. Would be popping in, and she knew everybody. Everybody was very venerable.
They do. Hey, it tells you they're in charge.
Yeah,
they're very good. Yeah.
Alan McGowan was the first person I spoke to for this.
Ali.
He's very modest because I knew he'd gone back to work, but I thought just as a groundsman and nothing else.
Right.
And he didn't really. He gave me a sort of hint that he did a bit of coaching as well. And it's only afterwards I spoke to the people and realised. The big role he played after he retired, but he didn't, he wouldn't build himself up at all.
That's right. Ali, his brother played for Scotland, Ali's brother. Played for Motherwell. John McGowan, I think his name was John. I think he was an older brother than Ali, but Ali's had a bad injury, didn't he? Because he always limped when I seen him. So that really, when they finished in them days, it was bad, wasn't it? But I believe Ali, I never seen Ali play, but everybody said he was a fullballer. Fullballer was a fullback, was a nice footballer.
He was very tough apparently as well. He was very
strong.
A lot of people say my dad remembers him when he was a kid watching him and saying he was good.
Yeah, because in the reunion I saw the centre half. It was supposed to be a brilliant centre half.
Fox.
That's it. I seen Al when I met him. It was nice to meet. God, he looked so young. He could play. I felt when I saw him, I thought I must have had the wrong guy because he looks that young. And I always thought he was from the northeast, you see, because he's got the northeast accent. But he says, no, I think he was from Hollywell or around that area. He said, but I believe he was excellent.
Well, I didn't realise because fair play after the reunion, he gave the supporters club to raffle off a Welsh Cup winners medal and a Welsh under-21 shirt of his. And I thought he was a Geordie,
because you listen, because I suppose he'd been up there a while. Of course, North Walian accent, it's hard to say, but he has definitely. Maybe an accent, If you go to Edinburgh and you live there a while, you wouldn't pick it up too much. But if you go to Glasgow, if a Glaswegian came to Edinburgh and you work with them long enough, you start. It's funny, certain accents. It does go into you. So Geordies is one of them. You see, I think that's what it is. But they were a good side on that. They were a very good side. The training wouldn't have changed much now because it's all to do with just fitness. And, I mean, you never seen the ball till the end of the week, and we went down the respect, football, So you were not desperate for it then, In fact, sometimes you forgot what you were for, But it was a pleasure to be able to live in a place like Wrexham. I lived in Chester, as you know, but to go for the training and love it. Some people don't have that. If you lived in Birmingham, it'd be all around concrete jungles. It's terrific, I thought the training was hard up in Europe, Panorama, World's End, It was the only time I ever wanted to be a sheep, You saw all these sheep, so I wish I was a sheep just to, could hardly breathe, But,
I'm seeing the things when I say about George Charles. I'm seeing him on Wednesday.
Are you seeing George? George was a very good player. George played for Wolves when they won the cup. He'll tell you about it. But Bobby Charlton hated playing against George Howell. I remember playing against him at United, and Bobby got injured, and George was like, put him straight, and say what he said to him then. I often tell George about it. Good player, George. He was a full back then, because Billy Wright was a centre half, so you couldn't really take Billy Wright's position. But he went to Bristol, and I think he ended up playing centre half here as well at Wrexham, didn't he? But his knee finished George.
But I mean, he worked so hard for Wrexham afterwards for
Yeah,
a long time.
That's terrible. That's terrible. That really. Well, I know that's what they want now, but how can you look after the club as well as he did? If he got me fit, he must have been good.
Yeah.
Right? And he got a lot of people fit, and there was no Nancy Pants with him. He got you fit. There was no messing. When you done some, when you got your toes all bruised up like that, I used to get the scalpel and release the pressure and things like that. So he couldn't have been too bad. And other things, like he. It's.
I don't know. Some people feel it's a bit political as well. That Flynn to his own people.
It might have been.
But I mean, as I understand it, he was only like a year and a half on full pension.
Well, exactly. They could have done it. It's back to what we said earlier on. There's a lot of things in football you wouldn't believe. It's so old-fashioned, isn't it? You feel like saying, well, oh no, it's my. I don't know. I think it's because there's always changes, isn't it? The manager changes, he changes.
I remember in the mid-80s, he took over as caretaker manager for a very brief spell, and was tremendously successful. They had no money, George.
Yeah, George, yeah.
They were really, really struggling at the bottom of the fourth division. The teams didn't go down automatically then.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah. But
and I was looking in the book actually, because
just to say, yes, because it's a long time.
And I had the record that they played 11 games under him and won 7, drawn 2 or 3, lost a couple. And I remember at the time, everybody wanted him as manager.
Yeah.
And he said, his attitude, as I understand it, I'm not checking was, no, because if you're a physio, you're pretty safe in your job. Whereas if you're manager, you're
that's right,
yeah. So he didn't want to be a manager,
No. But look, I know. I can understand, yeah, but I know.
But you can see what the
you see,
sense was.
And of course, his son from Wrexham and born, and he moved. I don't want to start moving if anything happens, you don't know. But there, as you say, look what's happened.
Yeah, you never know.
I mean, if a bloke was only there for a year and things changed, but that wouldn't happen in industry. It wouldn't be allowed, would it? Your union would say, I mean, we're talking about the unions now. They should say, well, yeah, okay, we're fetching it in, but the ones that say, no, well, sort it out.
Yes, it's a shame to see lack of loyalty with someone like that as well.
Oh, I think it's terrible. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're right. Yeah, no. Well, there's back to what you said.
A bit better. A bit less everything.
No, it did go well. But he certainly showed loyalty. Certainly did, and he's that sort of person, George. You wouldn't know any difference. He comes from that era. That's very important, and he expects it from you. If you don't do it in training, he makes sure you do it. That's it. If you pretend you're injured, he'll soon find out. Easy put you right. But if you are injured, it's good. Excellent. He just, they just seem to suit each other, John and George. It just seems to go together. He of course, John likes golf. John likes his golf. He was smashing it. And as I say, the different characters to Alvin, as you know. Alvin. Well, Alvin actually, when his father died, he bought the manse. Is that what you call in Wrexham, a manse? Or a rectory, is it you call it?
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, because his father was a minister, it would have been a rectory or a manse. We call that manse in Scotland, maybe you do down there. He bought that and made it into a club. He spent a lot of money on it. This is after he finished and made it into a club. But he didn't ask permission to get a road built up to it, and they wouldn't allow it in Anglesey, would they? So I don't know what he had to end. It never opened in the end. So I think he must have lost a bit of money on that. But he was always into that. And I think he does this in Bala now, hotel business and things like that. And it was nice to see him at a reunion. He was at a reunion. So he's a real character, Alvin. Without delving too much into that one.
Weirdly, one of the first things that got me the idea of doing this, not from me, but getting everyone to tell us, was I had a decorator in. It's about a year and a half ago. A year ago. And I didn't even know. A couple of days into the job, I mentioned, I've got to go to the football. Oh, who's that Chestnut or Wrexham? Oh, I'm a big Wrexham fan. He started chatting about this, that and the other. it turned out he'd been offered a place on the board, and he had all these tales. But yeah, it's stories about Alphonse. I thought, wow, I couldn't use any of that, but
that's right.
There's a book in this. Someone's
Definitely.
going to hear these stories.
It's definitely books.
It's,
I mean, that's one I could get away with without being with Alvin. He went into sort of in Saturday night bars that had bad reputations, and he sorted them out and cleaned them up. If I know what I mean, because he was a hard man, was Alvin. He was a strong man. And anyway, he ended up in London, in Tooting, and he had a hotel in Tooting, and it was a bit of a club underneath as well. Well, this time, John Neal was Chelsea manager. And Joey's down there, and Joey Jones, and Mickey is down there, Mickey Thomas, and Joey went to the club. Football had been finished, and John just went to see Alvin, see how he was getting on. And Joey said he went to the toilet, and when he went to the toilet, it was like a gangster movie. He said, this guy had a big long leather coat on. And when he opened the door with Joey, he thought he got stabbed, and he opened it in a long shotgun. And this is Joey. This fella had a shotgun, and he closed his coat. He said, I think I'm getting it. And Alvin said, oh, you're all right, Joey, you're all right. And Joey said, no, I think I'll go home now, if you don't mind, Alvin. So that's the sort of company he used to meet into his, the real roles. He said, I thought it was from a film,
But, near the end of the time at Wrexham, people like Joey and Mickey Thomas and Billy Ashcroft are all coming through as well with the stars of that strong team that comes through.
I'll tell you, when I was there, this is the truth. When I was there, I was a reserve team and had a lot from Liverpool. You can imagine the goalkeeper there, what's his name now? He used to be a policeman just before Lloyd. In fact, he was a policeman. He gave up policeman, played for Stafford, and he come to South to apologise. I don't remember his name. He was an ex-policeman. He came to Wrexham. We signed him. We had all the Liverpool lads, Alan Dwyer, Bobby Scott, what centre-half? Not just centre-half, if any other club, we'd be playing regular, but he stayed there. And then you had, what do you call him, Mickey Thomas, David Small, Good Evans.
Graham Whittle would be coming through.
Alan Whittle, Graham Whittle, sorry. Graham, what players. And Davy Fogg. That's loads of, that team, honestly, if you put that team and they were all together, I had to play one night, it was a night game, and I had to go in the I'd not been injured or I'd been dropped or whatever it was, most I'd been dropped, and I played that side, it was a floodlight game, I forget, must have been in a league, a floodlight league, and we all had, it was a white strip, remember, with it, I thought, I'd never seen them lads before. When they put me in the first team, I was near enough says, I don't mind playing in that side, honestly. It was a great to play in it, and it was just like playing for Real Madrid, it was, and I think if that team were all together later on, if they kept it in together, because obviously someone, they would have walked to fourth division. And he had a good lot that year, John, from Liverpool. They all done marvellous. In fact, there was one lad that was an excellent player from Liverpool at the same time, yours I used, and I was me and John telling me, he said, I wanted to keep that lad as well, but he couldn't sign them all on, you see, because I thought they were in not a free transfer, but just signed them on, didn't have to buy them. You've still got to pay the Football League money, you see, as well. So he was, anyway, I think the lad done well anyway, he ended up in Australia, yours I used, he was. Oh, they're a great side, they were a fabulous side, they was. Oh, yeah.
You went to Shrewsbury briefly and then
went
back again.
Yes, Harry Gregg was the manager. Harry always fancied me to go there for years, and that was a funny how you do it actually, going to Shrewsbury. I'll tell the story about this. This is it, right? I get injured, and just before I got injured, John Neal had me in the office. He says, listen, I believe the word got wrong, you see. I believe somebody's after you, isn't it? You don't want to leave here, do you? And I says, no, I don't want to leave here. He said, I don't want to know it is. I said, well, I'll tell the truth, somebody is after me, but I have no intentions of leaving Wrexham. He said, that's what I want to know. I said, you don't have to tell me. He says, no, I won't. In fact, asked me for over 5 years, and no way in between, they got word round to say they were after me to go to this club. And this is a bit, so I'm off injured, and they played away up at Doncaster, I think, or somewhere. Anyway, the next day, they were all off because they played next day. And I had a phone call, and it was from Chester, saying that Harry Gregg wanted to have a word with me over the club had arranged to sell me to Shrewsbury. And I thought, my first reaction was, just seen John yesterday. Said he wanted to sell me, and they didn't want, he was saying they want to go, and I thought, that can't be right. Anyway, I thought, that just shows you in football, never have thought that. So I went, well, you don't have to sell me, you've got to run to towns, but I thought that's the attitude. Like, so I went and had to word what they were going to sell, and that was it. So, and to cut a long story short, it was a deadline as well. So I signed. So I come back then, later on in the afternoon, and John's there. He comes in the door, you haven't signed anything, I says, yeah, you wanted me to sign. No, I didn't. It was done with the clubs behind John's back. This was done behind John's back. When he was away, the chairman had done this with the chairman of Shrewsbury. And he didn't say that to me. So I'd got off to a good start for him. And I'm blaming Shrewsbury, don't get me wrong. And then I'm travelling there every day. And it was a nightmare move. And it wasn't Shrewsbury's fault. It was a smashing club as well. And I wasn't there long. And I didn't do them pride. I didn't do myself pride. I was travelling every day and I had this in the back of mind. Anyway, luck with that, the chairman, or this sort of chairman, something had happened to him. Anyway, I got a free transfer and Port Vale wanted to sign me Gordon Lee. Well, in between that, John rang me up. Would you like to come back to Wrexham? I said, come back. I said, I'll walk there now. So I couldn't believe it. And so I knew then that well, I knew it was genuine. If he said it, it was. But it just shows you the things that, because one or two things like that does go behind the manager's back. Buying and selling players, everybody thinks the manager's responsible. He gets all the blame. All right, he might get the praise when they do well, but things that he doesn't do, it's out of his hands. In early stages, I think that was with John, you see. But, he didn't deserve it to be done like that either. But then again, they maybe wanted the money, I don't know at the time. I think it was only embassy comes anyway. These sort of things happen in football. I suppose they're still going in a way, don't they?
Absolutely.
So it was a short spell there, but there were all the good lads there too. But I used to get through in my car, and but at that time I had a Mini in the old ball tyres, you know. My wipers when they were. And that's the route they used to go from John Summers to Steelworks, the lorries. Well, if you got behind them and they, you know, Whitchurch Road, you know what it's like, even today really. Once you're behind it, you're... And they used to find you, Harry. They used to find you £1 a minute then. If you were late for trains, £1 a minute. So I was often late because of the car and all that, and they used to find me. Anyway, I had to get a train one day because my car broke down. And I got the train. And as I got into the station, it was late. So in Shrewsbury, you can see the football, you can see the manager's office, all in glass, from the station. But you've got to come out the station, it's a long way around to get to the club. So I got off the station, and I looked at the clock, and it was nearly come up to 10:15. Well, you had to be at 10:15. And I thought, what should I do? And I could see him, he couldn't see me. And I thought, I don't know, I'll go back and get the train because I thought he was going to find me. You know, gone 10 o'clock. I thought, hey, that's 15, there'll be no wages coming out. So I thought, I'll go to get the next train back and phone him up and tell him that I'm ill. So I get the train, it was later on, I get home, and I said, I'll just come out of bed, Harry. I was putting it on, I said, I don't feel too good. I said, I've just got up now. I said, I felt sick all night. He said, you get over there now. I just saw you. Somebody just saw you in the railway station. And he finally, I want you back this afternoon. And he took me and he really run me that afternoon. I had to get another train, so I did. There and back. Late in the afternoon. So, yeah, somebody'd seen me in the railway station. Saw you in the railway station. Oh.
I had a story of Mickey Thomas and Joey Jones, sort of similar to that, when they were at Chelsea with John Neal, because they were coming down from North Wales to Chelsea to train.
Yes, okay. I know they did, that's right.
And of course they didn't want to make that journey all the time. And they were looking for excuses to get out of it. And they were, one morning, they were about to go down and they didn't fancy it. And then they heard on the radio going down, there's a big pile up on the M6, and it's been closed. And so they said, oh, there's a chance. So they would turn back home. And they phoned up John Neal And they said, "Oh, we can't get in. We're just stuck on the M6. We can't move. We're trying to come down, and it's the whole thing seems to be closed. We can't get in." And Johnny Neal said, "Yeah, I know, because when I was driving south, I saw that. It's the northbound carriageway. It's closed."
You see, you'll always get found out, don't you? That's right. Yeah, I was exactly the same. Yeah, you forget you. They all know the tricks. But you wonder how they done it. Do you, Joey and then to travel? You just remind me, because I thought I was bad fun. But when you train hard and then you come back at night, obviously midweek games you've got to stay there. It gets to you after a while. It does. You're tired. You're really, because you've also got your travelling when you get there to go away matches, haven't you? When you get back, it's too late. So you stop the night.
I believe that he did when he was at Brighton as well, from North Wales. That's a drag, isn't it?
Because at one time, the old days, people used to sometimes let you train at the local ground, didn't they?
Yeah.
Sometimes they did that, but it's such a half a difference,
That's it. Yeah,
you'd have to be there, you see. The manager wouldn't mind if you kept turning, keep yourself fit in your local ground, but you need it for set pieces and things like that. Now, if you're winning, they don't mind it. But if you're losing, people would complain. It's the old story. Well, you're winning, we'll leave it as it is. But it does must affect you in the end, doesn't it?
Oh gosh, yeah, imagine all that.
I know. I mean, that was nothing to me. What them lads had to do, and you're talking Premier League too, isn't it? He done well then, John. For resources he had. Didn't have like this money there again, didn't he? They let John down there, Chelsea.
Yeah, I think it's.
They did. He done a great job for him. Great job. Nothing. He got a bit of excitement back, didn't he? To them, Pat Nevin in the right wing.
Absolutely.
No, it's very exciting. That's his teams, you see. That's the teams he'd like. He liked the Real Madrid teams. John should have gone abroad, John Neal, and took one of the Spanish teams. He would have been at his element.
I just like people like Ken Bates,
I've heard that many stories there.
Joey told you a story about, Joey, some stories about his life, it's a good story. He said the last season he was at Chelsea, he was not getting picked. And Bates had been interfering. As John Hollins was manager, and Hollins was a yes man basically. Whatever Bates says. Bates didn't like it, or went off Joey. I think there was some sort of move that broke down for Joey, and so Bates didn't like that. Then he was no longer a Chelsea man, and he will never get picked for the team again.
That's right.
And Hollins agreed with this. But apparently, he said they were playing at QPR, and there was a terrific injury crisis, and they had to pick Joey. And Joey was sitting there in the dressing room, and they changed him, and Ken Bates comes in his suit and starts lecturing the team, and turns around to Joey and says, "Well, I never wanted to see you play for Chelsea again. It's only because we got injured you're playing. I don't want to." And Joey sitting, he thought, I've had enough. I'm going down. I want to leave anyway. And Bates came over in his suit with the ball and walked up to Joey and was saying, "God, you couldn't even tackle me, could you? You couldn't even tackle me now." And Joey was changed. And so Joey, just from sitting on the bench, jumped in and went in over the ball and smacked right down his shins and ripped all his suit trousers with another cap. It's
That's a real an agitator. But as I was saying, good old Joey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I've never known him to give a good name for him.
No,
for us.
Oh,
he loves the power, and he loves confrontation. That's what he does. Some people do, and he just does. If he won the cup and did the treble, he would get great delight, and on the Monday instead of sack the manager. So they'd all say, "Hey, Ken Bates is it's just a part of his makeup."
I think, when the manager succeeds at Hardwell or Vialli, he sees a lot of competition, I think, doesn't he?
Well, it's funny you say that. That's what I was referring to exactly like that. It's funny the lad was doing well. He was well liked, but I think Ken Bates wants to be known almost at Chelsea.
That's it.
When somebody thinks that's impression I get. I'm not saying. I know if you put money in that you're entitled to know, you've got to let your manager manage, because if you fetch them in the first place, you've got to do. But certain chairmen fetch people in that they think, well, I can manage him. That's why they have them in, so they can manage them, quite easy.
It's like you say, when someone Vialli's well liked, I think Bates is getting jealous rather than
that's the impression I got.
Why is he liking me?
Praising me for exactly, that's right, That's the impression I get with him.
He's a dodgy piece of work, I think.
It is, he's not got, everybody seems to think the same.
Cost us a lot of taxpayers' money over Wembley as well.
I mean, that's nice. The old. Well, that's it. He wants to be different again. He wants to keep well in with the crowd. You know, one of the patronising the crowd. I think stabbing the man is a wee bit like that as well.
Yeah,
I think that's the impression I get. For his own ends, I know you got to look business-wise, but it's a childish thing, isn't it? It's a thing that you maybe do in your early years, just to, you know, but you've got to stop and count, don't you? Something before you do things like that. But we never had that problem at Wrexham.
No, that's true.
They're all characters. Even I mean, with a director there, it was to do with sweeties for guys. It was Mr. Dodd. It was. He was a nice bloke. And the fair dues, if you're playing Hartlepool's away, now nobody, you never got a director went there, but he always went Mr. Dodd. You know, John used to say that. He said, "There's one thing about it, when Hartlepool's, if you played United in the cup, they were all there. The directors, all we meeting over. But when it was Hartlepool's, nobody was there. A cold winter's night, freezing, and you know, and he changed it. You don't look me there, Mr. Dodd. Smashing. Yeah. He fetches sweeties, you know. I mean, talking about getting things off directors, you know, like Christmas time. I mean, not everybody gets things for Christmas off their job, but the only place I ever got anything was Shrewsbury, believe it or not. And one of the directors was a farmer. I don't know which one he was. You know, you had a choice. You had a choice of either potatoes, spuds, or a big loads of spuds, or you could get a chicken. So you went on a draw, you see. Anyway, I draw spuds, one or two the chicken. So I obviously lived in Chester. So as I say, I had a mini. And you know Shrewsbury, it's all hills, isn't it?
Yeah, man.
So after the training, I got, as I say, I got potatoes, somebody got chicken. Now it was Bob Toosey. You remember Bob Toosey, a big tall goalkeeper, he was about 6'4", Bob.
Good name,
And another fella called Terry Mathias. He was, I think, a Wrexham lad. And another lad, I think of his name, and myself, as the drivers for us. Now, with 3 lots with this big potatoes, right? And one had a chicken. And I was given a lift because they all lived in Shrewsbury. We couldn't get up the hill. So they all pushed me, this is true. I had an engine going, and they pushed me up the hill to get to the top because all the spuds, I think they were on the knees. And when we got on the top, we started off again. And when I was going to one of the houses, that was on a hill, we had, because there's a lot of potatoes there. So we said, right, ready, steady, go. And they pushed me up the hill with the spuds on it. I always remember, I couldn't take them. If they'd all won a chicken, it would have been alright, but they all won the spuds. But it's the only time, when you look back, you think, no, you never got anything like that. No, you wanted it, but it was, I was over the moon, Good chips for a year.
Oh, well, I mean,